I'm Patrick Bailey with whiteboardcoder.com. Today is July 8th, 2015, and I'll be going over how to set up and use incoming webhooks in Slack. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is head over to your Slack home directory. So basically, your Slack home directory should be whatever account you're using, .slack.com/home. And what you want to do is click on menus here and then click on integrations. And you can go down here and do a search on webhooks. And there's an incoming and outgoing. We want the incoming. So click on that and choose a channel. It doesn't really matter what channel you choose. That's your default channel, but there's a way to override that. So I'll just choose general for now and add an incoming webhook. Now here you'll get a webhook URL. So I'll copy and paste that. Now I'm going to I'll black bar that, but I'm also going to replace the one I'm choosing right now because you can remove it and add another one. Every time you do that, you get a unique ID. And I really don't want to expose the ones that I'm using. Anyway, so now you have a webhook. So now you can read through some of their documentation here, but I'll show you how to do it. So I'll minimize that. Now to make life easier, the first thing I'm going to do, rather than type this, I'm going to be using the curl command a lot. And rather than just type this URL in every single time, I'm going to export it to a local variable so I don't have to expose it all the time. So I'll do export, and I'll call it Slack URL equals, and I'll put this URL in there. So now it's in there and I can use it and I don't have to type it every single time and expose it to the universe. Okay, now what I'm going to do to make life easy is I can do a curl command, but it's going to be really hard to read the JSON. So I made a message.json file that I can read in to the curl. And it looks like I've been fiddling with it. So I'll delete what's in there. Okay, so we're starting fresh. So what you're going to want to do is I'll make a simple text message that I want to send to my Slack general channel. And so what I can do is I can go down here, and this is about as simple as you can get. You do text and my message. And that's the JSON you want to send to the URL they provided you. And so we'll use curl to do this. So I'll do curl-h. And I'll do this on a few lines so you can actually read it. Content type application JSON and -x post -d. And if you want to read that file in, you can do @message.json, and that should read that file in and pass it. And then, of course, the actual URL, which I put in as a variable. So now if I hit enter, this should hopefully all work correctly. Oh, there we go. Perfect. And so you can see in my Slack, in the general channel, there's the message. And it said incoming webhook, and there's the my message, and there's even the pop-up here that came through. And there's the generic icon. Now that's all well and good, but I'm going to go through a few more steps on showing you how to make it progressively more fancy. All this documentation's out there on Slack, but it's probably just easier to watch this and figure it out from here. Now one thing you may want to do as you're sending these messages in is you may want to define who it's coming from. Rather than just webhook, you can designate a username. And so I'll use Sensu, which is a monitoring program. And so if I do that, and let me do another thing in here, I'll do, if you want to do multi-lines, you can do a /n, second line, /n, third line. So I'll save that, send it again. And now you can see it says Sensu now. So there's the user who supposedly sent it. And now you can see how it broke it up into 3 different lines. Okay, next thing, emoji. Rather than have this generic character here, this image for the webhooks, you can actually put your own in. And so what we'll do is on the next line here, you can say icon emoji. And we'll use one of the ones that exists first. I'll use ghost. That's one of the ones they have out of the box. So I'll run this again. Oh, well, sorry, I got to put a test in here because if you keep putting messages from the same user, it just kind of appends them. It won't put the icon there again. So I'll just put a test in between. And there's my ghost icon. Now you can also add your own emoji icons into Slack, which is really useful. If you go into your customize /emoji, you go down to, well, there's the customize button, and here's the emoji. And so if you wanted to make, the emoji called Bob, you just type in Bob there, and then you choose a file to upload. And then that you could, when you typed, you could do, that when you're typing, and then Bob would show up. So for example, I threw a bunch in here. So I have a Docker, a Jenkins, an OpenStack, a Sensu right here. So those are images I just uploaded so that I can reuse them for my Slack. But you can add as many as you want or whatever you want. So if I don't want to use Ghost, but I want to use the Sensu one that I uploaded, it's not one of the default ones, it's one of the ones I uploaded. I'll just use the emoji that I defined called Sensu. Oh, and I got to put a test in between. And there's my custom emoji, so kind of nice. Next thing, change which room you want to send it to. So you don't want to make a new webhook every single time for every single room you want to connect to. You can actually just define it here. You can say channel and pound hashtag dev. I'll do the DevOps room. So there's the DevOps room. Oh, well, I don't need to do a test here because it's going to go to another room. Hopefully. And there it is, in the DevOps room. And there it is. So it can go to whatever room you define. So I can, just as another test, I can send it to random. And it shows up in random. But I'll keep it DevOps for most of this. Okay. Well, now just as I did that, you can actually send it to a user. So if I can send it to myself, in this case, rather than pound for the room, you do an @ and the username. So I'm Patrick in my Slack. And it shows up as the Slack bot will send it to you. So if I click on that, you can see that it still says the Sensu user sent it to me and it has the same message, but it does come through the Slack bot. Okay, back to DevOps. Okay. Okay, DevOps. Attachments. And the Slack people have a nice website that goes over their API. So if you go to api.slack.com/docs/attachments, they'll show you how to define your attachments. And so you can read through here and get a lot more specifics and even things that I'm not going to show you in here. So this is a good place to go to get this kind of information. But now what I want to do is I want to do this fancy indentation. So I can use my username, my channel, I can leave that all the same. But I'm going to remove my text line. And instead I'm going to have what they call attachments. So I say attachments. It's going to take me a little while to clean this up. And what I can do is I can have several attachments I can send at once, but I'll just send one, which is probably typically what you're going to do. And you can define what color you want it to be. So I'll say color, danger. Danger happens to be red, but you'll see that in a second. And I'll say fields. And then in fields, I can say title, event, value. This is the text that's going to show up. Oh. This is an emergency. Second line. Just showing you can do that. And then short. I don't mess with this too much, but we're going to just say it's false. I think if you, you need to read about this, but if you, well, I should be able to do this, right? If it's a true, right? We'll see. If you say it is short, you can actually put two messages next to each other, left and right of each other, but I'm not going to fiddle with that. I'm just going to say it's not short. And let's see if it works. Oh, you know. Oh, didn't like that. I'm not valid. I need to put a test here anyway. It's not valid JSON, so what did I mess up? Well, unless they... Well, that would still be valid JSON, but maybe he wants it to be false. Oh, well, there is that little issue there, huh? That might help. Okay, that looks right. Let me try that. Oh, still not valid JSON. Oh, there we go. I forgot a I forgot a colon, I think. There we go. Now, what that does, and well, bear with me, I want to do one little quick test here. I don't think that false needs to be a text string. It could probably just be false. Yep, it can be. So what this does is the color is the danger, which is the red line, so that makes this red line. The event is the title here, and the value is the strings you put in there. So you can make this little fancy, nice little line. And you actually can make more of them. So you could actually copy this and make a whole nother section. I'll show you that right now. I'm going to show how you can put multiple versions of these. You can also change the color. So we'll change this one to, well, we'll leave that one up. So we'll make another one here, but we'll simplify it. And so we'll say color good, which would be green, and fields and I'll just say title good. And that should be right. Oh, didn't like, oh, put a comma right there. There we go. Okay, that didn't work. Why did not work? Say attachments. Oh, you know, I know why it didn't work. It's fields, plural. There we go. So now it should work. There we go. So we got the green and the red. Some other colors you can do. I'll just change this good to some of the other colors you can do. You can do warning. Which gives you a little bit of an orange kind of color there. Or you can actually specify which color you want to use. So I'll do that here right now. I'll do, you can just use hex colors. So I looked up one, FF69B4. And this should be pink. Hex pink. So let's send that out again. Oh, and there's pink. In fact, let me test it out here, just so you can see. So there's pink and there's red. Okay, the next thing we can try is, I can show you is fallbacks. So right now, if I post this, my notification says no fallback defined. You can see that right there. So you actually have to define what you want the fallback message to be, because typically that's going to be shorter. So I can go down here and yeah, right here. So in the attachment, you can say fallback. Fallback, and this should be the short message. So if I do that, now if I run it, there you go, Sensu server is down. So now the message pop-up will say that. Kind of useful. Next thing, images. You can actually come down here, and in your attachments, you can, at this point in my notes, I actually found another way to do fields. So I can do color, let's see, attachment, fallback color. You don't have to do fields unless you're going to do something fancy. You can actually just do, well, let me show you. You can do title. Server issues and text. You can do the text out here. This is emergency. And I can also do I'll do an image URL in here, which I can send along with it. So let me copy this graph I threw up on my site. And then I'll take out these fields. So that's a little simpler way to do it if you're doing simple messages, which most of the time you're probably going to be doing something like that anyway. Okay, now if I run it, I got my message up, the server is down, server issues is my title, there's my message, first, second, and third, and here is the image. It downloaded it from the web and displayed it. Now it will cut the image size down if it's too big. I think it goes at most 400 across and at most 500 down, so it chooses the smallest one of those and resizes it. Now here's another thing to think of. If you're going to want that third line to be readable, you can put a dash in, and then, but it needs a character, so you can put a period in there. Maybe there's a better way to format this, but that's what I came up with on the fly. Last thing you can do that I'm going to talk about is you can add links. So here I can go, well, it doesn't matter where it ends up. I can do a title link. And I can throw in any link I want. And then post it. And so now what it does is you have your servers down message pop up. You have this nice little red line here. You've got your graph, you've got your message here, and you also have a clickable link here. In fact, I should probably change that. Let's say server issues, click here to see. Make it more obvious to whoever's in your group reading that. Okay, click here to see server issues. Then they click on that and it would open up wherever your server issues were. Now, if you want some more information and cooler things you can do, go to the api.slack.com. They have a lot more details, and I didn't show probably half of what it can do. But it's enough to get you started. And that's the end of this tutorial. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this tutorial helpful.